realized in basically every thriller I've ever read is that children are never normal. Never. They are psychotic little killers or demons. So one of those two things, or they're manipulative little shits. My name is Ashley and welcome to the Novel Thief YouTube channel. It's almost October, and if you're like me, you are getting ready for Halloween by reading a lot of thriller and mystery and suspenseful books. So I wanted to give you guys a list of some of the absolute best thrillers to read this upcoming spooky season. Hopefully you've read some of them, or if not, hopefully they are on your to-be-read list for the next 2 weeks. Because when do you stop reading fall books? Is it October, like end of October, or is it like November? November is like technically still fall, but it's like October is like fall, you know what I mean? Then it's like November, and then it's like December, which is winter. So like November is like, Here are the 6 best thrillers, in my opinion, that you have to read at some point in your life. Number 1, we have Gone Girl. I had picked up my copy from a thrift store. They have them all the time at like Savers and stuff like that. It is a very well-known psychological thriller. In the book, a woman named Amy goes missing. Her husband is trying to figure out what has happened. However, he is the one who most people believe has done it because, you know, the husband always does it. It's always the husband. So it follows along trying to figure out where she is and her husband trying to prove that he had nothing to do with it. The twist at the end is like nothing you're gonna see before. It is incredibly well done and it left me on the edge of my seat. So I'm just saying, gotta read Gone Girl. The next book I recommend for you is Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. This book is about a woman named Rowan who babysits for this family of 3 girls. At first everything seemed pretty normal. You know what I realized in basically every thriller I've ever read is that children are never normal. Never. They are psychotic little killers or demons. So one of those two things, or they're manipulative little shits. At first, everything seems to be going pretty normally. This is like a really great gig for Rowan. She's been looking forward to something like this. She has I believe like some kind of degree or something in caregiving for children. So she's really excited about that. Of course, things start to go really weird. She starts to hear things and she feels like she's seeing things and things are disappearing here and there. Girls are not great. They're very manipulative and just angry and not the greatest kids to be caring for when the parents are out of the house most of the time. It's told the point of view of Rowan revisiting her life. We begin the book with Rowan being in jail because one of the little girls has been killed and now she is the one who's to blame, but she's writing to a lawyer trying to basically tell the lawyer that she had nothing to do with this, and she walks the lawyer through what had happened from the first day they met to what had actually occurred at that event. I highly recommend Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. I would recommend you listen to it on audio. It's really well narrated and it's one of my favorite audiobooks of all time. The third book on my list is Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. This book is about a girl who house sits at a very famous apartment building called the Bartholomew. And this apartment building at first seems like a dream. It's like a luxury apartment where Jules is, but unfortunately a lot of people believe it's haunted. And at first Jules doesn't believe it. The person that she had been talking to who lived in an apartment nearby goes missing and she's trying to figure out what had happened while creepy things are happening throughout the apartment. It's basically like a haunted house kind of book. Riley Sager has written other amazing books like Final Girls. The next book on my list is The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. This book is also very well known and you can pick it up basically at any thrift store. The story is about a woman who's named Anna, who's agoraphobic. Agoraphobic people tend to fear situations where they can't be helped. So you'll see a lot of them live indoors, a big fear of going outside or being near people. She's agoraphobic due to an event that we find out about later. And she's been living in her home and this is what she believes is a murder. When she calls the police and the police come over and the neighbors come over, apparently the neighbor who had been murdered is perfectly fine, but Anna doesn't believe that's the actual neighbor and she believes that's an imposter of someone pretending to be the neighbor. It's a really good thriller, and like Gone Girl and Lock Every Door and Turn of the Key, this book also has an incredibly well done plot twist at the end. The next book on my list is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. This book is really actually a humorous kind of thriller novel, so if you liked Murders in the Building, Only Murders in the Building, You know that Hulu show that people are going crazy about with Steve Martin and Selena Gomez? That is basically what this book is kind of about. So it's about these 4 elderly people who live in a seemingly normal town, and they all end up bonding over the fact that they love to solve jigsaw puzzles and crimes and little things like that. But I mean, who doesn't? So what has happened is that there has been a murder of one of the neighbors, and this group of, you know, really fun elderly people are trying to figure out what happened. While doing that, they reveal things about themselves, secrets that they've been trying to hide, and they kind of just point blame at different things. So it's a really good, both humorous and thriller novel of like a whodunit kind of thing. So if you like Only Murders in the Building, I would highly recommend that you check out this book as well. The book on my list is Sadie by Courtney Summers. Courtney Summers is a recent author that I had discovered, and I really like her book, especially Sadie as an audiobook is absolutely incredible. Sadie is about this girl named Sadie who goes on a kind of an avenge mission to figure out why or how her sister Maddie had died. Her younger sister kind of died unexpectedly, and the police, I don't know if they were really taking it seriously what had happened. It was kind of blamed on something that Sadie doesn't believe was true. So she goes on this huge adventure to figure out what had happened to her little sister. She discovers things about herself and her family. Meanwhile, we're also getting the point of view of a podcaster who is a true crime podcaster talking about Maddie and Sadie's story. So he's trying to figure out where Sadie is going and what had happened to Maddie. So 2 things at once. It's 2 of the same timelines, but at different points of view. So it's a really good book. Would highly recommend you listen to this book on audio because it is just so well narrated. Because you get these 2 point of views of a podcast and Sadie, you get the whole podcast ensemble. So you get the podcast music, you get, you know, like the sounds of like an actual podcast being recorded. So it's definitely one of my favorite audiobooks of all time. That and Turn of the Key are 2 of my favorite thriller books listened to rather than read physically. So those are my 6 favorite thrillers for October or any spooky season. You can honestly read thrillers at any time. I had written a blog post with actually 16 of the best thrillers of all time. It will be linked below, so if you want to check that out and see if there are any other books that really interest you. Definitely let me know what you feel about these books that I've listed before, especially Turn of the Key and Sadie. Those 2, best books ever. But thank you so much for listening and checking me out. I hope that you subscribe and that you have a great day.